Good morning or afternoon and welcome. I'm so glad you could join us today for this session virtually on the Transition Assessment Guide. My name is Pam Jensen, and I am the Technical Assistance Project Coordinator for the Transition Improvement Grant. We are happy to be here with you today to provide an overview of the new Transition Assessment Guide. Focus today is to explore the structure and purpose of the Transition Assessment Guide and how it supports transition planning, and to identify practical ways to apply the guide and available assessment to meet the diverse needs of students. We know that transition assessment can sometimes feel challenging, but this session is designed to give you practical strategies and tools you can use immediately. By the end of our time together, you'll have a clearer understanding of the guide, ways to apply it, and actionable steps to strengthen transition planning. Just a quick icebreaker as we are thinking about transition assessment. So think about if you were a type of transition assessment, formal or informal, what type would you be? Before you answer, just quickly review the short definitions of formal and informal assessments. Then take a minute to think about this. Are you a formal assessment, more precise and reliable, or an informal one, adaptable, creative, or maybe you're a bit of both? So take some time to think about that and then go to the next slide. So let's talk about the guide. When you first open the guide, you'll notice the hamburger at the top here, or else the home page, depending on how you come into the site. Either one of them will get you into navigating the site. So by clicking on either one, you'll see the drop-down menu that lists all the content areas. So you can move easily between different sections of the guide. So you can see on the right side of the slide, the guide covers what is a transition assessment, understanding transition assessment, why transition assessment matters, students and transition assessment, involving families in the transition assessment process, assessment exploration, finding the right fit, operationalizing transition assessment, and resources. As you work through the sections, you'll also see the blue bars towards the end of most sections, as you can see on the bottom of this slide. These are designated to help you dig deeper. When you click on the little caret or the down arrow, it expands to show you additional resources connected to that section. It's just a great way to access tools, links, or examples without overwhelming the main content on each of the slides. We also want to share a bit about why the guide was created. The transition assessment is the most widely searched resource on our TIG website, and we wanted to provide a centralized, easy-to-use resource that brings together important updated transition information in one place. To find the transition assessment guide, visit our TIG website at www.witig.org. And from there, you can click on the Transition Planning tab, which you can see a down green arrow at the top of the screen. And then you're going to choose in the drop-down menu the Age Appropriate Transition Assessment tab. That will bring you to a transition assessment webpage. And at the bottom of that page, then you will be able to see the tab for the Transition Assessment Guide. Or you can use the resource button that you see in the top middle of our website, and that will also bring you to the Transition Assessment Guide by typing in that information. So next, we're going to dig into the guide. So as you can see, we are on the home page. So the home page just gives you a little bit more information and how this guide will help you. If we click on what is transition assessment, here you'll see a definition by DCDT, known as the Council for Exceptional Children's Division on Career Development and Transition. It provides a little bit simpler terms and then how transition assessment can help. And as I said earlier, you'll see this blue resource highlight. Click on this caret or down arrow, and that will expand you to more resources geared towards what is transition assessment. If we go into understanding a transition assessment, you'll see the same thing. So here it talks about what transition is as far as a key part of preparing students. It also has 3 different subtitles: legal requirements, types of assessments, and transition assessment in the PTP. These 3 areas are also on the drop-down menu on the left side of our screen. So if we click into legal requirements, this reminds us that measurable post-secondary goals are based on age-appropriate transition assessments. And to be compliant, the LEA must have conducted an age-appropriate transition assessment prior to the IEP meeting in which the child turned 14 years of age. So if that transition assessment isn't completed prior to the IEP meeting, then the IEP meeting cannot take place, and the IEP meeting will have to be rescheduled. Again, in the blue box, you will see additional resources around the legal requirements of a transition assessment. Types of assessments, as we talked about in our icebreaker, are formal and informal assessments. So again, it gives a definition of that and then additional information about assessments and what they can include. So when a student is unable or unwilling to do their transition assessment, here are some things that you can consider, as well as assessments, who assessments are usually completed by. Again, more highlighted resources. Transition assessment in the PTP shows us where you can find the information or where the information goes for an age-appropriate transition assessment. So in the PTP, or the post-secondary transition plan, step 4 is going to talk about transition assessment. The compliance button will give you more information within that application and also best practices. So be sure to visit those on occasion too when you're writing the student's post-secondary transition plan. In this step, it will ask you if a transition assessment has been completed. If you check no, then the IEP team will need to reconvene at a different time when you have the results, because transition assessment guides the measurable post-secondary goals in much of the PTP. Also, has the team reviewed information from the student's academic and career plan process? If you need more information about ACP, there are several resources under the resource highlight. And if you need more information, a great source is your ACP contact at your school or the school counselor. So a well-developed ACP can help fulfill many of the transition services required in the PTP. You really want those 2 documents to work together. Our next tab, if we go back over to the left, is why transition assessment matters. And so, as we've talked about a little bit, transition assessment really guides the transition of planning. So it looks at every component of the post-secondary transition plan. It helps to write the education and training, employment, and independent living goals, which in turn then assists in developing the students' annual IEP goals, transition services, the course of study, connecting to outside agencies, transition partners, and the age of majority. So with these results, the IEP team could do the following, for example, such as offer job shadows or youth apprenticeship opportunities. Think about accommodations, developing that student's course of study that aligns with their measurable post-secondary goals, and celebrating. So again, more resources here on why transition assessment matters. Student involvement is also important. So when students engage in their own assessment, they build self-awareness and self-confidence, and self-advocacy is one of the strongest predictors of post-school success. So students leading their IEP meetings or being involved in that transition assessment process is really a key opportunity to do that. So support students so that they understand the value of a transition assessment, that they are participating in it, and that they're reflecting on the results. So make sure they understand the results. Don't just make those assumptions. And then we want to encourage students to ask questions, to set individualized, meaningful goals in looking at their IEP, also practice self-advocacy skills throughout that process. And as educators, we want to create space for that student to be able to reflect on the process and their perspectives, honoring their cultural backgrounds when choosing assessments and modeling ways to ask questions and express their needs. And then make sure that you're celebrating their growth. Again, more resources. And then involving families. So we know that in most cases, families will know the child best. They know their preferences, interests, needs, and strengths and cultural background. So don't be afraid to talk to the family members and making sure that you're fulfilling all of those things, because it's really a two-way communication with families to help ensure that transition goals really reflect the student and the family's hopes and dreams for their future. So share and explain those results in accessible ways, provide observations, ask the parents what they're seeing, what they're observing at home, and then provide opportunities to collaborate with transition partners as well, along with the families. So including their input really is going to lead to more meaningful conversations for both the student and the family. Finding assessment exploration, finding the right fit. This section really kind of takes the place of where our transition assessment guide was before. If you remember that guide, it had a lot of information about different types of assessments with lots of different links. And we really felt like there were some transition assessment databases out there that would be much more helpful and be able to provide more guidance on what some of the best transition assessments are. So if we dig into Transition Tennessee Assessment Database, and we look at for professionals, resources, assessment database, click here, that's going to bring us to their transition assessment database. On the side here, you'll find a video that talks more about the practical approaches and powerful tools of transition assessment. But scrolling down, you're going to find their database. So here you can search by the transition domain, assessment focus, assessment approach, language, if you need picture supports, who completes it, and the cost. If you click through this and there are no assessments, there's an opportunity at the bottom to reach out to their staff and ask for more details. So don't see what you're looking for, please send them a description and they may be able to help you a little bit more. So if we decide to look at employment and career development, and we want to look at strengths, and we want to look at maybe an interest inventory, here you can see it's in different languages. We might want a picture to support that. Who's going to complete it? Is it going to be the family, the educator, the student, the job coach? So there's different choices there. And then there's also choices if we want something free, one-time payment per student, and then we're going to search it. And as you can see, it's given us 3 different options. So maybe we decide we're going to do the career cruiser because we've read the description and we feel like that's the best one. It's going to give us some quick facts about it and then the link to the assessment. So here you will see the assessment that is provided. If we go into Pennsylvania's secondary transition assessment finder, then we're going to find at the bottom of this page as well, the assessment areas. So maybe we want to look at something for independent living. It's going to give us a choice here, but if we hit the drop down arrow or the caret, it'll give us a few different options. So if we were to choose Casey's life skills, and do a search. It's going to again give us our topic area, the type of assessment this is, and then we're going to click on it. Casey Life Skills will come up, and then we can utilize it from there. If we go into the Pennsylvania Transition Toolkit for students with more significant disabilities, this resource is also going to highlight the assessment we just looked at, but it also has a process with this purpose of tool or with this toolkit. This toolkit is called the TAP, which is an introduction to a transition assessment. And so if we click on introduction, it's going to give us more information. And then it's also going to give us the steps of what, who, how, when, and why. And so the transition assessment planning is another opportunity that you can utilize. Again, the transition assessment resource here that's available is going to be that same resource that I just showed you. And then we have the Zaro Center, and they have the AIR self-determination assessment, which has different components to it as well. So as you can see here, it has the assessment materials. It has a scale that can be utilized as a transition assessment, the Casey Life Skills, which I just showed you in one of the last ones. And then you can also download the choice maker. The second one that the Zaro Center offers is the goal generator that's called the TAG, so the Transition Assessment Goal Generator. This assessment is a cost, and it is $5 per student. It has the tag for high school. It has the tag for alternative school. And then it also is working on a tag for middle school. So that should be coming soon. Okay, so those are just some databases that give you a lot of choice and opportunity to think about your students' individualized needs. If we look at the next tab on operationalizing a transition assessment, it has areas to think about as far as getting started with transition assessment, choosing your assessment, like some real reflection questions to think about, your student and family involvement, timing and planning, when to do the assessment, monitoring progress, accessibility and communication with both the student and the family, and then some next steps. Resources. So with our resources, this section includes all of the resources that were in those highlighted areas that were more specific to each section of the guide. NTAC is really a wealth of knowledge. And so we have several different guides for transition assessment there, as well as model for a teacher. Northern Colorado provides a checklist for transition assessment. This is all states, and here's one specifically for Wisconsin. Transition Coalition, again, a great resource, great website for all transition, but they have a module that's specifically on transition assessment. And then we also have lots of online courses through the Transition Improvement Grant, one being the Introduction to the Post-School or Post-Secondary Transition Plan, PTP. And we also have another course that's going to be coming out on best practices in transition. So look for that soon. That should be coming out by January. And then the TIG self-assessment guidance that also has some transition assessment in it, but is a really good toolkit that aims to support educators, students, and their family in fostering these skills. If you haven't been on the TIG Wisconsin Transition app, that's a great opportunity for families and students to be able to practice the PTP before that IEP meeting that's talking about transition. So the app mirrors the post-secondary transition plan and is really a great opportunity for families and students to be able to participate in that discussion and gives a great printout of their results. This will also be updated and hopefully be rolled out in June, February of 2026. Department of Public Instruction has a great video on families as communities and experts of their child. Iris Center has student-centered planning. That's awesome too. DPI, here's the information about ACP or academic career planning if you need more section or more information about that. And then TIG career and life readiness courses, also great opportunity. 10 micro courses, but they're about an hour a piece, so very doable. The Job Accommodation Network is also a great website when you're working with students that you're looking for accommodations on the work site. You can put in different types of disabilities and it will give you some ideas and thoughts about how to accommodate that on the job. And then our sample assessments, which is in the section of assessment exploration, finding the right fit. These are the same assessments there as well. So that provides our guide. Putting the transition assessment guide to work. The first step is selecting the assessment that aligns with each student's unique needs. So the guide provides direction to help choose the right tools rather than guessing or using that one size fits all approach. Once assessments are completed, the next step is to interpret them. Look for patterns and preferences, interests, needs, and strengths to get a full picture of that student. Assessment results should then directly inform the components of the student's post-secondary transition plan, making sure that the data drives meaningful, individualized transition planning. The guide is also a collaboration tool. Sharing assessment results with transition partners ensures supports and services are coordinated and aligned with student goals. And finally, share the guide with your coworkers. Help your team develop a common understanding of transition assessment so everyone knows how to identify and use the best assessments for the students that they serve. So as we close, think about the challenges that you've had in transition assessment. How can this guide help to address it? Even a small step can really make a big difference for the students that you're working with. Thank you. And the last slide just shares our contact information. So the first contact information is myself. Please reach out if you have any questions or any comments about the guide. And then also our technical assistance specialists are listed here. If you go onto our website, this is the contact us link, you can talk with any one of us and we would be happy to talk to you further about transition assessment. Thank you.